Hello everyone, GNS today, ripping face, going towards $1. I mentioned this stock many times, around 50 cents. And if you watch my videos, you know how important the psychological areas are, 50 cents and every 5 to 10 cents. GNS, I think, honestly, looking at it right now, is so strong. I think could easily break $1. Who knows, by the time this video drops, it'll be over $1. Because right now it's after hours, and after hours and pre-market, the moves are the best, in my opinion, in terms of how straight it goes up, right? Because in after hours and pre-market there's no halts, and the thing with halts is that a lot of the time it messes up the momentum, right? Because if a stock is starting to shoot up and then immediately gets halted, then oftentimes that's an opportunity for people to short, or it's just the chart just ends up broken. It's like I could go on and on, where the extended hours is really nice movement, right? So GNS, I'm looking at it right now, the hourly chart, beautiful. This is like an A+ setup, beautiful hourly chart, finally breaking out today and after hours. And if you zoom out even more, go to the daily chart. Right when I posted it, it was I believe Friday night or Monday. No, I think it's Friday night. You could check the date on my stock tweets or YouTube. This stock explodes because what got me interested in the stock was the volume, right? Because initially, I say every video, volume is number one, besides, and on top of that, float. GNS, the volume, if you look at the daily chart, right when I posted it, it has almost 10 million volume, and every single day, just the volume is just crazy. And today, it's well over 10 million volume, and it's just shooting up. And what I think is happening here is I think short sellers got overconfident, because every single time this stock, there's basically a stock personality of GNS, is that most of the time when it pops, it fades. It round trips. Basically, let's say it's at 50 cents. It pops to 60 cents and then it goes all the way back to 50 cents, which is what I noticed about the stock over the years. And this stock did a similar type of price action where it popped over 60 and then it pretty much sold off over and over and over. So shorts got too cocky, in my opinion, and as soon as that flat top broke, they got mega squeezed. And right now, if they're holding short, if people are shorting this, I honestly would be worried, because this is like a penny. And look at the daily chart, the range on this stock, man, the range is insane. If you zoom out the max daily chart, it's literally near the bottom when it was at 50 cents, and right now it's not even $1. So this stock is just starting to rip face. Boom, where'd it go? And I was looking online, right? GNS actually had a massive purchase from the CEO, Roger Hamilton. He bought almost 1 million shares, 650,000 shares. And not just that, percentage wise, it's a big percentage. It said that his shareholding got increased by 10%, which is significant. And I'm not gonna go full into the details on the news, right? Because I say every video, I'm more of a technical trader rather than news based. But if there's catalysts like this, because it's not a small amount. You see news sometimes where an insider or a CEO buys like 1,000 shares. This is a lot of shares, 650,000. And on top of that, the volume is just increasing over and over. I'm watching it right now, live, and it's not dying. The volume is just increasing. And when you're looking at the stock, you don't just want to look at technicals, right? So on Finviz, you can also check a lot of details, such as the short float. You could check a lot of details on the average volume. And this stock, the 200 moving average, is so far away. Earlier when I mentioned it, earlier in the day, right? And GNS right now is about to test that 200 moving average. When you use the 200 moving average, it doesn't really matter whether you use EMA or SMA. I like EMA better, but it's just ripping towards that. GNS, guys, put it on your watch list. You have to watch this stock if you are bullish on it. Now is an important pivot. You want to see over one consolidation and push for more. Next stock, ONMD. This one I mentioned it right in the morning time. I mentioned it at the 50 cent psychological pivot. I said the same thing for GNS, right? So ONMD, it just starts ripping, right? This stock, I believe, had news, because I said every video, extended hours is the best news. That's when the most news comes out throughout the trading day. and ONMD, it caught my attention, right? And if you watch my videos, you know I like pennies, right? So as soon as it starts volume, I'm looking for dips. You could have bought that, the consolidation pullback. You could have bought those macro pullbacks if you're more of a scalp. If you're more a micro trader, like 1 minute. But if you even look at the bigger picture on ONMD, it was just such a big move that even if you trade a range, where you looked at, let's say, the 15-minute chart, you still would have banked on it, right? Because this went up a lot from the initial mention. So ONMD was really nice. Next one was, by the way, guys, if you have any stock recommendations, leave in the comments. I will talk about them. Next one, NKTR. This one I mentioned at $20 level. It was very important. And this is one of the more expensive stocks, but the thing about the more expensive stocks is that throughout the years I noticed that they have really clean price action once it starts to uptrend. So you want to always stick to trend. You know, trend is your friend when it comes to these more expensive stocks, basically stocks over $10. That's what I've been noticing. So a lot of times if you see a stock uptrending, you know, draw out your lines, you know, plot the pivots. I mentioned many times $20 key. It ends up ripping vertical 27.68, which is a really nice gain. That's almost a $8 a share gain, which is a lot, because if you use 1,000 shares, right, that's significant money. That's $8,000 in just a few hours, right? And that's not even, I'm not saying that you're gonna catch the full move, but even if you caught again like a small percent, that's still big money, right? So that's the stock. NKTR. Next one is SRFM. This one I mentioned it again, that 225 level, and it ends up ripping face vertical. As soon as volume started to break out, it just caught on, you know, it caught on fire, algos and people, you know, momentum, and ends up ripping over 100%, 101%. So if you banked on this one, congrats, guys. SRFM. What I really liked about this stock was that it was quiet. I like those quiet plays where it's not going crazy 300%. You're not gonna see me mention stocks often that are up like 300-400% on the day. Most of the time when I mention a stock, it's going to be not up a lot, like maybe like max momentum plays is under 100%, right? So it's gonna be not up a lot, like 300-400%. So SRFM is not up a lot, and it was just quiet. It was consolidating. I really like those type of plays. I mentioned it, and people banked on this one. And the next play that I'm gonna talk about is IN. This one I mentioned multiple times throughout the days because this is one of those biotech stocks, right? IN. It's a micro floater. And if you know anything about low flow bios, if you watch my videos, they tend to have the crazy price action, right? And the thing with IN, when I'm looking at it, is that this stock has a history of making these type of moves. I'm doing these videos live, that's why I may pause sometimes. But this stock has a history of making big moves, like basically like a big swing type of action where throughout the multi-day mover, my bad. So that really caught my attention. And again, plot out the 200 moving average on the trend lines. I saw this had range, which is why I mentioned it more than once. Usually if I mention a stock, I just mention it like usually just like, you know, that day, right? But if I mention it multi-day, that means there's swing potential. That means there is a multi-day setup. And I mentioned in my previous video, that's one of my more favorite type of setups is multi-day, right? Rather than just 1 minute up and those, you know, quicker plays. I like those too, but multi-day is really nice setups as well. I banked on those in the past, as well as now I like to swing trade often. IN, that was a really nice gain. And I had I believe like 2 people mention that they wanted me to talk about this stock, ADER. And I banked on this one many times in the past. I remember I traded ADER so many times, and it's a nice name. This stock likes to make big moves, and I'm looking at right now the float, micro float. That's A plus. Second, market cap tiny. The daily chart. Again, wow, this thing has crazy range. Daily chart, huge range, and he mentioned it yesterday around like $1.40. That was pretty much near the bottom, so it just popped off today. Big 18%. It's up like 15% or something like that. And he gave me some information about the stock. He talked about how There was zero borrow, high utilization, partnerships with Amazon, Walmart, Target. Basically, when you see these type of partnerships with Amazon or these bigger companies, this could trigger a big move up, because I've been in stocks since 2018, and I've seen big moves when Amazon was involved, or, I remember those days, I think it was like during GameStop, AMC type of days, where a stock just releases a PR just with that word, like Amazon, and this thing goes like 200%. I remember those days. Amazon, Walmart, Tesla, those big companies. And it's not really about what's exactly happening. Again, I say it's more about the headline, and you got to keep an eye out for these PRs. ADER, I don't know how often they do PRs, but if they drop a lot of news in the morning time especially, this one's gonna rip. And I'm just looking around the website for ADER, or what type of news they release, and I'm seeing a lot of times they like to announce I just announced a share repurchase program a few months ago, and this person said that ADER also has a float lock, buyback, just basically a lot of bullish factors going for a stock. So I'm just going to mention it to you guys in case you're interested. In ADER, it looks really nice. The hourly chart is finally breaking out of that channel, and it's starting to uptrend. ADER, you want to watch that. I'm looking at right now live. You want to watch over 175 psychological pivot, easy 2+. If this stock starts to get a lot of volume today, the volume was good, but you want to see higher. You want to see volume similar to GNS, as you're seeing right now, which is just crazy volume. GNS, see this type of volume on ADER, you're gonna see easy 2+, in my opinion. So shout out to the person that mentioned ADER, and I definitely added to my watch list, and I like it. So guys, if you have any stocks you want me to look up or make a video on, write in the comments. I just like stocks, I like researching them, I like talking about them, I like helping people in regards to stocks. And drop a comment, guys, any questions. I appreciate you all watching, and I hope you guys bank this week. The week just started. We still have like 3-4 days left. We're gonna bank, guys. Every day I show up posting trade ideas, stock twist, Twitter, link in description, free to join. And I hope you guys have a great night, and peace.